If you've ever been blindsided by someone you trusted with your entire soul, hit like. If you believe betrayal always comes back around, comment karma. Because what happened to me? It didn't just break my heart. It publicly destroyed me. And the craziest part? The man who left me standing at the altar didn't disappear. He married my little sister. I should have known something was off. You ever get that gut feeling? That tiny whisper in your head saying, something's not right, but you ignore it because you don't want to look crazy? Yeah. That was me. 3 days before the wedding, Daniel started acting weird. Not obvious weird. Just subtle. Slippery. His phone was suddenly glued to his hand. Face down on every table. Notifications muted. He'd step outside to take a work call at midnight. Midnight. For work. I asked him once, casually, trying not to sound insecure. Everything okay? He smiled too fast. Yeah, babe. Just stress. Stress. That word became his shield. And I let him hide behind it. The night before the wedding, he said he didn't want to stay in the hotel suite. I just need space to clear my head, he told me. Big day tomorrow. I thought it was sweet. Mature. Responsible. I even told my bridesmaids, he's just nervous. It's cute. God. I want to go back and shake myself. Because while I was sipping champagne with my girls, laughing, posting countdown stories, my fiancé was somewhere else. Not alone. My little sister Ariba had been acting strange too. Extra emotional. Extra clingy. She kept hugging me and whispering, "You deserve to be happy." Over and over. I thought she was just being sentimental. She was my baby sister. 4 years younger. The one I helped with homework. The one I defended from bullies. The one who cried in my room after her first breakup. I never once imagined she could look me in the eyes and lie. Wedding morning. I woke up at 5 a.m. wide awake. Heart pounding. Adrenaline rushing. Today was supposed to be the start of forever. Makeup artists buzzing around. Hair sprayed into perfection. My dress hanging near the window like something out of a Pinterest dream. My mom was crying. "Look at you," she kept saying. My daughter. Everything felt cinematic. Perfect. Almost too perfect. Then it was time. The church doors were closed. 300 guests were seated. Soft music played inside. My dad stood next to me, straightening his tie. "You ready, kiddo?" I nodded. I was glowing. I was in love. I was about to marry the man I thought was my soulmate. The doors opened. And I started walking. 1 step. 2 steps. Smiling. Trying not to cry. The aisle felt longer than I remembered at rehearsal. I looked up toward the altar. And my smile froze. Daniel wasn't there. At first, I thought maybe he stepped aside. Maybe nerves. Maybe bathroom. The best man looked confused. The priest leaned toward someone whispering. Guests started murmuring. I kept walking. Because what else do you do when 300 people are staring at you? I reached the altar. Empty. Completely empty. My heart started pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. "Where is he?" I whispered. No one answered. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. The music stopped. Whispers turned into full conversations. My bridesmaids were staring at their phones. One of them looked pale. That's when my maid of honor walked up to me slowly. Too slowly. She leaned close and whispered something that didn't make sense at first. Daniel's not coming. I laughed. Like actually laughed. What do you mean not coming? He's literally the groom. Her eyes filled with tears. He left. This morning. Left. Left where? Left how? Left why? Nothing made sense. My legs felt weak. My dad grabbed my arm. People were standing up now. Phones out. Recording. I wasn't a bride anymore. I was content. The abandoned bride. The viral moment waiting to happen. I felt my face burning. Not from tears. From humiliation. 300 people watching my entire future collapse in real time. My mother started crying loudly. Someone yelled, "Is this a joke?" I wanted the ground to swallow me whole. Instead, I stood there in a $12,000 dress. Alone. We found out later he had packed his things at 4 a.m. Cleared his closet. Turned off his phone. Blocked me. Blocked my friends. Blocked my family. He didn't even leave a note. Just vanished. Like I meant nothing. Like 5 years together meant nothing. The next few days were brutal. The venue still had to be paid. Caterers. Flowers. Decorations. Guests whispering. Distant relatives calling with fake sympathy. "Oh honey, are you okay?" No. I wasn't okay. I couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. Every time my phone buzzed, my stomach dropped. But it was never him. Not once. And then came the worst part. The internet. Someone had uploaded a clip of me standing alone at the altar. It spread fast. Comments like, "She must have done something. No man leaves like that for no reason. Red flag bride energy." I became a meme. A cautionary tale. A punchline. And through all of it, Ariba stayed by my side. Holding my hand. Sleeping next to me at night when I had panic attacks. Telling me, "He didn't deserve you." She cried with me. She hugged me. She played the role perfectly. Too perfectly. 2 months passed. Still no word from Daniel. Police couldn't do anything. He wasn't missing. He just didn't want to be found. My parents were furious. My dad threatened lawsuits. My mom blamed his family. And his family? They claimed they didn't know where he was either. Everyone was confused. Everyone was angry. Except one person. Ariba. She had this calmness about her. Like she already knew the ending of the story. And I was still stuck in the middle. The first crack appeared when I went to borrow her laptop. Mine had died, and I needed to check an email about wedding refunds. She hesitated before handing it over. Just a second. But I noticed. When I opened the browser, a notification popped up. A saved login. For an email address I didn't recognize. But the recovery email? It was Daniel's. My heart skipped. Why would my sister's laptop have access to an email connected to my fiancé? I told myself I was overthinking. I closed it. But something inside me had started waking up. That gut feeling again. This time louder. And for the first time since the altar. I wasn't just heartbroken. I was suspicious. I didn't know it yet. But the real betrayal? The one that would make being left at the altar feel small? Was still coming. And when I found out the truth, it didn't just break me. It changed me. Forever. You know that feeling when your brain is trying to protect you, but your gut is screaming? Yeah. That's where I was. 2 months after being humiliated in front of 300 people, after becoming a walking meme, after crying so hard I thought my ribs would crack. Something shifted. And it started with a laptop. Ariba was in the shower when I opened it. I wasn't snooping. At least, not at first. I just needed to check an email from the venue about partial refunds. My phone was dead, and her laptop was right there on her desk. But when I opened the browser, it didn't go to Google. It went to a Gmail inbox. Already logged in. Not her email. Not mine. A new one. The name made my stomach drop. Daniel R. My fingers froze over the keyboard. Why would my sister's laptop have my ex-fiancé's email logged in? I told myself there was a simple explanation. Maybe she was helping him with something. Maybe he logged in months ago. Maybe. Then I saw the subject line of the most recent email. Flight confirmation, 2 passengers. Dated the night before my wedding. My hand started shaking. I clicked it. I shouldn't have. But I did. 2 tickets. Early morning departure. Destination, Miami. Passenger 1, Daniel Reyes. Passenger 2, Ariba Khan. I swear the room started spinning. No. No, no, no. That had to be old. That had to be fake. That had to be a mistake. I checked the date again. It was real. 4:32 a.m. The exact time Daniel supposedly needed space. My chest felt tight. Like someone had physically punched me. I heard the shower turn off. Panic hit. I closed the laptop fast. Too fast. My hands were clumsy. I barely made it to the hallway before she stepped out in a towel, smiling. You good? Her eyes searched my face. I forced a smile. Yeah. Just checking email. She nodded slowly. Too slowly. For the first time in my life. I didn't trust my sister. I didn't confront her that day. I couldn't. Because if it was true, if even 10% of what I was thinking was true, that meant the betrayal wasn't just romantic. It was blood. It was family. It was my own sister watching me walk down that aisle knowing exactly why he wasn't there. And still holding my hand. Still wiping my tears. Still whispering, "You deserve better." That night I couldn't sleep. I replayed everything. Every weird moment. Every look between them I ignored. Every time he defended her during small arguments. Every time she laughed a little too hard at his jokes. God. There were signs. At my birthday party 3 months before the wedding, I remember walking into the kitchen and they both went quiet. I thought they were planning a surprise. Now I wonder what they were really planning. The next morning I did something I never thought I'd do. I checked Daniel's Instagram. He had blocked me after the wedding. But I used my cousin's account. His page was private. But his profile picture was new. It wasn't him alone. It was a beach. Miami Beach. My heart started racing. Then I noticed something else. His bio. It used to say, soon to be husband. Now it said, blessed beyond measure. What the hell did that even mean? 3 days later, the second crack appeared. My mom was at the grocery store when she ran into Mrs. Patel, our neighbor's aunt who lived in Florida half the year. She casually mentioned seeing Ariba recently. In Miami, she said. With a tall guy. Very handsome. Looked like a honeymoon. My mom laughed it off. Ariba hasn't left the state, she said. But when she told me that story later that night, I felt cold. Ice cold. Because Ariba had been staying with a friend the week after the wedding. She said she needed space too. I didn't question it. I was too busy drowning. That evening, I decided to test something. I walked into Ariba's room casually. "So random question," I said. "You ever been to Miami?" She froze. Just for half a second. Then she laughed. "No? Why?" Her laugh was tight. Not natural. "Just asking," I shrugged. She looked at me carefully. Like she was measuring how much I knew. That look. I'll never forget it. It wasn't guilt. It was calculation. The real confirmation came a week later. And it destroyed whatever denial I had left. I was going through bank statements, wedding refunds, vendor disputes, when I noticed a joint payment from Daniel's account. He had forgotten to remove me from one shared wedding planning subscription. The charge wasn't for flowers. Or catering. It was for a marriage license application. Filed in Miami-Dade County. Dated 2 days after our wedding. 2 days. I felt like I was going to throw up. There was no more maybe. No more coincidence. No more benefit of the doubt. He didn't leave because he was scared. He didn't disappear because he panicked. He left because he chose someone else. And not just someone else. My sister. I waited 3 days before confronting her. 3 days of acting normal. 3 days of pretending I didn't know. 3 days of watching her look me in the eye and lie effortlessly. Finally, I couldn't take it. She was in the kitchen making tea when I walked in. My voice didn't shake. Which surprised me. "Are you married?" The spoon stopped stirring. Silence. Slowly, she turned around. "What?" I stepped closer. To Daniel. Her face drained of color. And in that moment, I knew. I knew before she even opened her mouth. Because innocent people get angry. They deny. They defend. She didn't. She looked scared. And then something worse. Relieved. Like she was tired of hiding. And what she said next shattered the last piece of my heart I didn't even know was still intact. "If you think betrayal hurts, try hearing your own sister say, 'I didn't mean for it to happen.' Like that makes it better. Like that makes it accidental. Like she tripped and fell into my fiancé. She was standing in the kitchen. Tea kettle still hissing. My question hanging in the air between us. "Are you married to Daniel?" Her lips parted. Closed. Then she did something that confirmed everything. She sat down. Slowly. Like her legs couldn't hold her anymore. I didn't sit. I stayed standing. Because if I sat, I might collapse. She didn't deny it. She didn't yell. She didn't call me crazy. She just whispered. "Yes." One word. That's all it took. I swear I felt something physically tear inside my chest. Not heartbreak. Not sadness. Something deeper. Like my trust in the entire world just snapped. "How long?" I asked. My voice didn't even sound like mine. She looked down at her hands. "Since the week after the wedding." The wedding. My humiliation. My public collapse. That was her honeymoon week. I started laughing. Not because it was funny. But because my brain couldn't process it. "You married him 2 days after he left me at the altar?" She flinched. "It wasn't like that." "Oh. Oh, it wasn't like that?" "Then what was it like?" "Explain it to me." Explain how my fiancé disappears at 4 a.m., flies to Miami with my sister, and marries her while I'm canceling flower orders and deleting wedding photos. Go ahead. I'm listening. It started before that, she said quietly. Those 4 words hit harder than anything else. Before. How before? I asked. Silence. How? Before. Her voice was barely audible. 6 months. 6 months. That means while I was picking bridesmaid dresses. While I was crying tears of happiness over engagement photos. While I was planning a future with him. They were already sleeping together. My knees gave out. I grabbed the counter. I couldn't breathe. 6 months? I whispered. She started crying. Actual tears. Like she was the victim. It just happened, she said. We didn't plan it. I felt something dark rise inside me. It just happened? I repeated. You don't accidentally text someone at midnight. You don't accidentally book hotels. You don't accidentally fall in love behind your sister's back. This wasn't a mistake. It was a decision. Repeated over and over again. Does Mom know? I asked. She shook her head fast. No. Please don't tell them. Please. Please? You want mercy from the woman whose wedding you helped destroy? You stood next to me in that church, I said. You watched me fall apart. She covered her face. I didn't think he would actually leave you. That was the moment I realized how deep this went. She didn't think he would leave me. So what was the plan? Keep sleeping with him on the side? Let him marry me and still be with her? What kind of twisted fantasy were they living in? He told me he loved me, she said softly. There it was. The real reason. She thought she won. She thought she was chosen. I straightened up. Did you love him? I asked. She hesitated. Yes. That word burned. Then why hide? I shot back. Why not tell me? She looked at me with this broken expression. Because I knew you'd never forgive me. She was right. Then she said something that made everything click. He said you were controlling. My stomach dropped. He said you pressured him into marriage. Controlling? Pressured? I replayed every conversation in my head. He proposed. He set the date. He pushed for the venue. He cried when I said yes. And now I was the villain in his story? Classic. When a man cheats, he rewrites history to justify it. And apparently, my sister bought every word. Does his family know? I asked. She nodded slowly. They came to Miami. Of course they did. So while my parents were defending his name, while they were saying, there must be an explanation, his parents were attending his second wedding. I felt dizzy again. The betrayal wasn't just romantic. It was layered. Strategic. Planned. When were you going to tell me? I asked. She swallowed. We were going to wait. Wait for what? For me to heal? For the internet to forget? For you to show up pregnant and pretend it was a miracle? How long? I pressed. Maybe a year, she whispered. A year. She was going to let me mourn him. Grieve him. Blame myself. For a year. While she played happy wife. I walked toward her slowly. She looked scared. Good. She should have been. You didn't just betray me, I said quietly. You erased me. Because that's what it felt like. Like they took my future. My plans. My 5 years. And rewrote the ending without me. Then I asked the question I was afraid of. Was he ever going to marry me? She didn't answer. She didn't need to. Her silence said everything. He wasn't confused. He wasn't scared. He was already gone. I left the house that night. Didn't tell my parents yet. Didn't scream. Didn't break anything. I just drove. 4 hours. Crying. Screaming in the car. Hitting the steering wheel. Because here's the thing about betrayal like this. It makes you question everything. Was I blind? Was I stupid? Did everyone see it but me? Or was I just the only one who believed in loyalty? But here's what they didn't know. What neither of them understood. You can break someone. But sometimes, that's the exact moment they stop being soft. And start becoming dangerous. Because heartbreak changes you. But humiliation? That builds something colder. Smarter. And way more patient. The next morning, I told my parents. And the explosion that followed? Destroyed this family forever. If you've ever had to destroy your own family just to save your sanity, you know there's no clean way to do it. There's no gentle version of telling your parents their younger daughter secretly married the man who left their older daughter at the altar. There's only impact. And fallout. I didn't sleep that night. Not even a minute. I sat in my car outside a 24-hour diner until sunrise, replaying every word Ariba said. 6 months. Miami. Marriage license. His family knew. By the time I walked back into the house, something inside me had shifted. I wasn't hysterical anymore. I wasn't even crying. I was calm. And that scared me more than anything. My parents were in the kitchen. Mom was making tea. Dad was reading the news on his tablet. Normal morning. Normal life. Like our world wasn't about to detonate. I need to tell you something, I said. They both looked up immediately. My mom's face softened. Are you okay, Beta? No. But that wasn't the point. It's about Daniel, I said. My dad's jaw tightened instantly. That name still made him furious. What about him? He snapped. I didn't drag it out. I didn't ease into it. Ariba married him. Silence. Not dramatic silence. Not movie silence. Real silence. The kind where your brain refuses to process what it just heard. My mom blinked. What? My dad slowly put the tablet down. Say that again. Ariba married Daniel. In Miami. 2 days after he left me. My mom laughed. Actually laughed. Like I had just made the most ridiculous joke in history. Don't say stupid things, she said. That's not funny. I saw the email, I said. The flight confirmation. The marriage license filing. My dad stood up. Slowly. Dangerously. Where is she? He asked. Right on cue, Ariba walked into the kitchen. She froze the second she saw my face. She knew. She knew I had told them. What is she saying? My mom demanded. Ariba's eyes filled instantly. The performance began. I didn't mean for it to happen. That was all she got out before my dad slammed his hand on the table. Is it true? She couldn't lie now. Not in front of both of them. Yes. My mom made a sound I've never heard before. Not crying. Not screaming. Something deeper. Like grief ripping through her body. You married him? She whispered. Ariba nodded, shaking. It wasn't planned. Stop saying that, I snapped. My voice cracked the room open. For 6 months you slept with him behind my back. My mom's head whipped toward her. 6 months, she repeated. My dad looked like he might actually pass out. You destroyed your sister, he said quietly. And that's when Ariba said the one thing that almost made me lose control. He loves me. The audacity. The delusion. Like love justifies betrayal. Like love cancels loyalty. My dad told her to leave. Pack a bag. Get out. Immediately. My mom didn't even argue. She didn't defend her. She just sat there crying, whispering, "How could you?" Ariba looked at me once before going upstairs. Not with hatred. Not with regret. With something else. Almost defiance. Like she still believed she had won. That look burned into my memory. 2 hours later, she was gone. She didn't go to a friend's place. She went to him. I know because later that afternoon, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But I did. And I'd recognize that voice anywhere. Hey. Daniel. Just like that. Like he didn't destroy my life. Like we were just picking up a casual conversation. I didn't speak. I know you found out, he said. Oh, you know? That's cute. You could have told me, he added. I actually pulled the phone away from my ear to make sure I heard him right. I could have told you? I repeated. Instead of telling your parents, he said. You made this messy. Messy? Messy? You married my sister 2 days after humiliating me publicly, and I made it messy? That was the moment I realized something terrifying. He genuinely believed he was the reasonable one. You were going to let me grieve you, I said. You let me think I wasn't enough. I didn't want to hurt you, he replied. You don't want to hurt someone? You don't sleep with their sister. You don't abandon them at the altar. You don't rewrite history to make them the villain. You were never right for me, he continued. That sentence hit different. Because now? Now I wasn't heartbroken. I was furious. You're right, I said calmly. I wasn't. Silence. He wasn't expecting that. I hope you're happy, I added. And I hung up. But here's the thing about secrets. They don't stay quiet. By evening, extended family knew. By the next day, friends knew. By the end of the week, the story spread. And when it did, it flipped. Suddenly, I wasn't the crazy bride who got left. I was the woman betrayed by her fiancé and her sister. Sympathy shifted. Whispers changed direction. People who judged me started apologizing. But none of that fixed the damage. Because humiliation doesn't just disappear. It stains you. Then came the real shock. 3 weeks later, I got a message from someone I didn't expect. Daniel's best man. Hey, it read. There's something you deserve to know. And what he sent me next proved this betrayal ran even deeper than I imagined. Because Miami wasn't the beginning. It wasn't even the worst part. If you think you've heard the worst part, trust me. I thought so too. Until Daniel's best man sent me a message that made everything I knew feel small. His name was Marcus. He had always been quiet. Observant. The type who didn't talk much but saw everything. The message came at 11:47 p.m. There's something you deserve to know. I didn't say anything before because I thought he'd come clean. He didn't. My heart started pounding again. I almost ignored it. Part of me didn't want more truth. But another part? The new, colder part of me? Wanted everything. I replied, what do you mean? Three dots. Then a photo. It was a screenshot of a group chat. Dated 9 months before my wedding. 9 months. The message was from Daniel. I can't marry her. I'm already in too deep with A. Not even her full name. Just an initial. Like it was some secret code. Like I wasn't the one wearing the ring. Marcus followed up. He told me he was confused. I didn't know it was your sister at first. I found out later. 9 months. That means when he proposed to me, he was already with her. When he got down on one knee. When he cried. When he said, I've waited my whole life for you. He was already sleeping with my sister. I stared at the screenshot for a long time. My hands didn't shake this time. They were steady. That's how I knew something inside me had changed. Marcus kept talking. He was planning to call off the wedding months ago, he wrote. But Ariba told him not to. She said it would look suspicious. Suspicious. They were worried about optics. Not morals. Not loyalty. Optics. So what was the plan? I typed. His reply came fast. They were going to let the wedding happen. Then separate after a few months. Make it look mutual. I felt sick. They were going to let me marry him. They were going to stand there, exchange vows, sign legal documents. And then slowly phase me out. So she could slide in without looking like the villain. Calculated. Strategic. Cold. And the worst part? It almost worked. Marcus sent one more thing. A hotel receipt. Dated the night before my bridal shower. 2 guests. Daniel Reyes. Ariba Khan. That bridal shower. I remember that night so clearly. She stood next to me while my friends opened gifts. She helped me try on lingerie sets meant for my wedding night. She laughed. She toasted to forever. And then later that same night, she went to him. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there in silence. Because at that point, pain had turned into clarity. This wasn't some whirlwind romance. This wasn't we didn't mean for it to happen. This was a long game. And I was the only one not playing. The next morning, I drove somewhere I hadn't been since the wedding. Daniel's parents' house. They opened the door looking shocked. Not guilty. Not ashamed. Just uncomfortable. We didn't think you'd come, his mother said. I didn't think you'd attend your son's second wedding either, I replied. That shut her up. I stepped inside without waiting for permission. Did you know? I asked. His father avoided eye contact. His mother sighed. We thought it would hurt you less this way. Less? Less? You thought public humiliation was mercy? I asked. He said you were unstable, she said quietly. There it was again. The narrative. He painted me as dramatic. Controlling. Too emotional. And they believed him. Because it's easier to blame the woman than question the son. He's in Chicago now, his father finally said. Chicago? They moved again, he added. For work. Work. Right. I left without another word. But that detail stuck with me. Why move so quickly after getting married? Why not stay in Miami? Why run? 2 weeks later, I got my answer. A mutual friend called me. You didn't hear this from me, she whispered. They're fighting. Bad. Apparently, Daniel had lost his job. Apparently, money was tight. Apparently, the honeymoon phase wasn't so magical when it wasn't built on lies anymore. Funny how that works. Then came the twist I didn't expect. Ariba called me. Not crying. Not apologizing. Angry. You ruined everything, she said. I almost laughed. I ruined it? You told everyone, she snapped. His family hates me now. Oh. Now you're uncomfortable? Now the spotlight feels heavy? Did you think secrets don't surface? I asked calmly. He's stressed because of you, she continued. There it was again. Blame. Deflection. Victim mindset. But something in her voice was different. Not confident. Not victorious. Fragile. Like cracks were forming. Is he treating you well? I asked suddenly. Silence. Long silence. That silence told me everything. Because the kind of man who betrays one woman like that doesn't magically transform into Prince Charming for the next. If he could lie to me for 9 months, he could lie to her. And deep down, she knew that. That night, I did something unexpected. I deleted every photo of him. Every message. Every memory. Not because I forgave him, but because I was done being defined by what he did to me. They thought I was the weak one. The abandoned bride. The humiliated sister. But they forgot something. I survived. And people who survive betrayal like that? We evolve. And when we evolve, we don't just heal. We level up. But life wasn't done surprising me yet. Because a month later, I got a knock on my apartment door. And when I opened it, Daniel was standing there. Alone. If you think karma takes years, sometimes it shows up in under 6 months. And sometimes, it rings your doorbell. When I opened the door and saw Daniel standing there, my body reacted before my brain did. My stomach dropped. Not because I loved him, but because muscle memory is real. 5 years doesn't just evaporate. He looked different. Not dramatic movie different. Subtle different. Tired. Less polished. Like life had already started collecting its debt. Can we talk? He asked. No apology. No greeting. Just like we were picking up from yesterday. I almost shut the door. I should have. But curiosity is powerful. And honestly, I wanted to see it. The cracks. So I stepped aside. 5 minutes, I said. He walked in like he used to live there. Then remembered he didn't. He stayed standing. Good. You look different, he said. Growth does that, I replied. Silence. He rubbed the back of his neck, the same nervous habit he had when lying. She's not what I thought, he finally said. There it was. Not I'm sorry. Not I was wrong. She's not what I thought. I crossed my arms. Funny. That's exactly what I thought about you. His jaw tightened. It's not working, he admitted. No surprise there. You blew up my life for something that's not working? I asked calmly. He sighed. She's jealous. Insecure. Always accusing me. I blinked. The irony. The absolute audacity. You mean like how you said I was? I asked. He didn't answer. Because he knew. He had rewritten me to justify leaving. Now he was rewriting her. Same script. Different woman. She checks my phone, he continued. Questions everything. Oh. You mean she doesn't trust the man who cheated with her? Shocking. You built a relationship on betrayal, I said. Trust was never in the foundation. He ran a hand through his hair. It wasn't supposed to be like this. There it was again. That line. As if life just accidentally happens. As if choices don't have consequences. Then he said something that made my heart go completely still. I think I made a mistake. A mistake. You spill coffee. You miss a flight. You don't accidentally destroy your fiancée and marry her sister. I stepped closer. You didn't make a mistake, I said quietly. You made a series of decisions. He looked at me differently then. Like he was seeing something new. Not the crying bride. Not the broken woman. Something steadier. And maybe that's what unsettled him. She's not you, he said. I almost laughed. Of course she's not me. I don't betray my own blood. What do you want, Daniel? I asked. He hesitated. I don't know. That was the most honest thing he'd said all night. He didn't know. He didn't know what he wanted when he proposed. He didn't know what he wanted when he cheated. He didn't know what he wanted when he ran. And now? He didn't know what he wanted standing in my living room. But I did. Clarity is powerful like that. Let me make it simple for you, I said. You don't get to come back here looking for comfort. I'm not. Yes, you are, I cut him off. You thought I'd still be broken. Still waiting. Still loving you. He opened his mouth. Closed it. Because that's exactly what he thought. Men like him don't come back unless they believe the door is still unlocked. She thinks you're turning people against us, he said suddenly. Ah. There it is. Damage control. She's spiraling, he added. Of course she is. Because here's the truth no one tells the other woman. When you win a man through betrayal, you don't win security. You win paranoia. Because if he cheated with you, he can cheat on you. And deep down? That fear eats you alive. Is she pregnant? I asked bluntly. His head snapped up. No. The relief in his voice was obvious. So that wasn't tying him there. Interesting. Then he did something I didn't expect. He stepped closer. Do you ever think about what we had? There it was. Nostalgia. The emotional manipulation card. I looked at him for a long time. And for the first time since the wedding, I felt nothing. Not love. Not anger. Not even hatred. Just distance. What we had ended the second you touched her, I said calmly. And I meant it. He studied my face like he was searching for cracks. For softness. For the old version of me. But she was gone. You've changed, he said quietly. Yes, I replied. Pain does that. He left 20 minutes later. No dramatic hug. No tears. Just a man realizing the safety net he assumed was there. Was gone. And when the door closed? I didn't collapse. I didn't cry. I felt powerful. Because for the first time since the altar, I wasn't reacting. I was choosing. But here's the part one didn't see coming. 2 days later, my mom called me. Ariba's moving back, she said. Apparently, the marriage was imploding fast. Fights. Money issues. Trust issues. And now? She wanted to come home. To the house she walked out of after destroying me. And my parents? They were considering it. That was the moment I realized something important. Forgiveness in families isn't about fairness. It's about comfort. And I had to decide something hard. Was I going to let her walk back and like nothing happened? Or was I finally going to draw a line? Because part 7? That's when I stop being the abandoned bride. And start becoming something they never expected. If you've ever been betrayed by family, you know this feeling. It's not just anger. It's this heavy realization that blood doesn't always mean loyalty. And sometimes the people who hurt you the worst still expect a seat at the dinner table. When my mom told me Ariba was moving back home, I didn't react right away. I just stared at the wall. She has nowhere else to go, my mom said softly. Nowhere else to go. Interesting. She had somewhere to go when she left with my fiancé. She had somewhere to go when she stood next to him in Miami and said vows that should have been mine. But now that things were messy? Home suddenly looked comforting again. When? I asked calmly. Tomorrow. Of course. No warning. No conversation. Just reintegration. Like we were resetting the family software. I didn't go over the next day. I waited. Not because I was scared. Because I wanted to see what she would do. Would she text me? Call me? Apologize? She didn't. Instead, my mom sent me a message that night. She's very upset. Please try to understand. Understand. That word again. Why is it always the victim who has to understand? 3 days later, I went to my parents' house. Not emotional. Not dramatic. Just composed. She was sitting on the couch when I walked in. No ring on her finger. Eyes swollen. Hair messy. The happy wife era didn't last long. She looked up at me slowly. We locked eyes. And for the first time, she didn't look confident. She looked small. I'm sorry, she said immediately. 2 words. So simple. So late. I didn't respond. I just took a seat across from her. My parents were hovering like referees in the background. He's different now, she whispered. Different. I almost smiled. No, he's not different. He's consistent. He yells, she continued. He says I ruined his life. The irony was almost poetic. The same man who told her I was controlling was now controlling her. The same man who said I pressured him was now blaming her. She checks his phone constantly, my mom added quietly. I raised an eyebrow. Does she? I asked. Ariba looked embarrassed. I don't trust him, she admitted. And there it was. The foundation of their marriage. Cracked from day one. Because relationships born in secrecy don't grow in security. They grow in suspicion. He said he misses you, she said suddenly. That caught me off guard. Not because I cared. But because it revealed something. He wasn't just unhappy. He was comparing. She said you've changed, she added. I leaned back. I have. Silence filled the room. Then she said something I didn't expect. I thought if you chose me, it meant I won. Won. Like this was a competition. Like love is a trophy. But I don't feel like I won, she whispered. Good. Because you didn't. You inherited a man who abandons women when things get hard. That's not a prize. That's a pattern. Why did you really do it? I asked calmly. No yelling. No insults. Just the truth. She swallowed. I've always been second, she said. Second? You were the pretty one. The successful one. The favorite. I blinked. This wasn't about him. It was about comparison. Insecurity. Sibling rivalry that never got addressed. He looked at me differently, she continued. Like I mattered. So she chose validation over loyalty. Attention over integrity. And convinced herself it was love. You didn't just take him, I said quietly. You tried to replace me. Tears rolled down her face. I never wanted to replace you. But she did. That's exactly what she did. She wanted my life. My fiancé. My moment. Without realizing that stealing someone else's path doesn't make it yours. It just makes it unstable. Then came the twist. I left him, she said. That made my parents look up. You what? My dad asked. I left, she repeated. Yesterday. Apparently the fights escalated. Apparently trust turned into constant interrogation. Apparently love couldn't survive paranoia. He said he might reach out to you, she added quietly. I almost laughed. Of course he would. He doesn't know how to be alone. He just rotates women like emotional safety nets. My mom stepped in. She's your sister, she said softly. We have to heal. Heal. That word feels nice. Clean. But healing requires accountability. Not just apologies because things didn't work out. I stood up slowly. I don't hate you, I said to Ariba. That surprised her. I don't even wish you pain. And I meant that. Because hatred keeps you tied to someone. And I was done being tied. But things will never be the same, I continued. You don't get sister privileges anymore. Her face crumpled. What does that mean? She asked. It means you're family, I said. But you're not my safe place. That hurt her more than yelling ever could. Because trust isn't automatic. It's earned. And once broken like that, it's rarely rebuilt fully. I walked out of that house lighter than I'd felt in months. Not because she was suffering. But because I finally drew a boundary. And boundaries? Their power. But the story wasn't over. Because a week later, I got an email. Not from Daniel. Not from Ariba. From a law firm. Subject line. Confidential financial disclosure. And what I opened next explained why Daniel was really panicking. It wasn't love. It wasn't regret. It was something much bigger. And much uglier. If you think he showed up at my door because he missed me, you're giving him too much credit. Men like Daniel don't come back for love. They come back for leverage. The email from the law firm didn't look dramatic. No red flags. No urgent in all caps. Just. Subject, confidential financial disclosure, Reyes vs. Khan. My stomach tightened. Reyes vs. Khan. His last name. My sister's last name. Already a legal case? I opened it. It was a copy of a financial affidavit filed as part of a separation consultation. They weren't officially divorced yet. But they were already speaking to lawyers. And buried in that document was something that made everything click. Debt. A lot of it. Credit cards maxed out. Personal loan. Business investment gone wrong. And then I saw it. A line item that made my chest go cold. Wedding deposit recovery, $38,000. I stared at it. That was my wedding. The deposits I fought to get back. The refunds I processed. The payments that went through my joint planning account. Somehow, he redirected part of the refunds into an account under his name. The week after he left. That wasn't panic. That was premeditated. Now his job was gone. The business venture failed. And the Miami fantasy had collapsed. Which meant something important. He didn't come back because he loved me. He came back because he thought I was still financially stable. Reliable. Safe. I wasn't just an emotional backup. I was a financial one. The email continued. Apparently Ariba had discovered the missing funds. That's what triggered the spiral. Not jealousy. Not insecurity. Money. She realized he used part of what was supposed to be our wedding refunds to fund their new start. And she confronted him. And according to the legal notes? He blamed me. Said I owed him for embarrassing him publicly. Owed him. The audacity is almost impressive. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I did something smarter. I called my lawyer. Yes. I had one. After the altar incident, I hired someone to ensure no financial loose ends remained. Turns out, that instinct saved me. Because what Daniel didn't realize? The joint planning account had digital records. Timestamps. IP addresses. He thought because I was emotionally wrecked at the time, I wouldn't notice. But documentation doesn't care about heartbreak. It just tells the truth. 2 days later, he texted me. First time since showing up at my apartment. Can we talk again? It's important. Oh, I bet it is. I replied. About the $38,000? Silence. Long silence. Then. Who told you? Wrong question. Very wrong question. You stole from me, I typed. I didn't steal, he replied quickly. It was shared funds. Shared for a wedding. Not for your escape plan. Not for your honeymoon with my sister. He called immediately. I answered. You're blowing this out of proportion, he said. Calm. Calculated. Still trying to control the narrative. You committed fraud, I replied evenly. It's not fraud, he snapped. You would have gotten it back eventually. Eventually? After what? After he drained it? After he stabilized his new life? After I moved on? The pattern was so clear now. He never loved. He leveraged. Are you going to sue me? He asked. And there it was. The fear. Not of losing me. Of losing money. I don't need to threaten you, I said calmly. Your own paper trail is enough. For the first time since I met him. He sounded small. You wouldn't ruin me, he said quietly. Ruin him? Interesting word choice. Because he didn't hesitate to ruin me publicly. I don't have to ruin you, I replied. You're doing that just fine on your own. And I hung up. The next morning, Ariba called. Her voice was shaking. He says you're trying to destroy him. Destroy him? No. I was protecting myself. You knew about the money? I asked her. Silence. That silence again. She didn't know. He hadn't told her. He'd taken funds for my wedding, and she didn't even realize it. So not only did he betray me, he lied to her too. Consistently. Predictably. I feel stupid, she whispered. That was the first honest thing she'd said in months. Now you know how I felt, I replied softly. And for once? There was no fight in her voice. Just exhaustion. That week, something shifted publicly too. Apparently word spread in their circle about the financial mess. Friends who once sided with him started distancing themselves. His confident groom image cracked. Because here's the thing about betrayal. It thrives in secrecy. But once exposed, it rots fast. Then came the final twist of this chapter. My lawyer called. There's more, she said. Apparently, Daniel had taken out a short-term loan using our original wedding contract as proof of upcoming shared assets. Meaning, he leveraged my event to secure funding. Before he even left. Which means, he was planning the exit long before the altar. The humiliation wasn't impulsive. It was strategic. He needed the wedding close enough to secure credibility. But not close enough to legally bind. I sat in silence after hearing that. Because now? This wasn't about heartbreak. It was about survival. He didn't just betray me emotionally. He tried to use me as a stepping stone. And that? That flips something inside you permanently. But here's where it gets good. Because part 9? That's when I stop reacting completely. And start rebuilding in a way none of them see coming. And the final twist? It won't be revenge. It'll be elevation. By this point, I wasn't sad anymore. Not really. Not like before. I wasn't the abandoned bride, the humiliated ex, the sister who got played. I was something sharper now. Clearer. Harder to manipulate. And for the first time I realized, they weren't the ones in control anymore. It started small. I went back to work with a focus I hadn't felt in years. Every project I touched turned into a win. Not out of spite. Not to prove them wrong. Just discipline. Precision. Control. My life had become my own. I also began restructuring the money situation. The wedding funds? Fully accounted for, fully secured. Daniel thought he could play me. But I had receipts. Bank logs. Every transaction documented. No loopholes. No excuses. No way back in. And Ariba? She tried to apologize again. I didn't bite. Actions speak, I said calmly. No tears. No rage. Just cold logic. Then came social media. People had heard about what happened, but I realized I didn't need to explain or beg for sympathy. I started posting about my life, not him, not her, not the betrayal, but my work, my travels, my growth. Slowly, the narrative flipped. The crazy abandoned bride? Gone. In its place, a woman who survived hell and walked out stronger, smarter, unstoppable. Friends reached out. Old connections reactivated. Opportunities appeared. It was subtle, but powerful. Karma? Maybe. Life? Definitely. Ariba started struggling. Her social media posts were bitter. Subtle complaints. Snaps of perfection she couldn't actually feel. Daniel's constant stress leaked into her life. Paranoia became their daily routine. And slowly, people started noticing. Her perfect image? Cracked. His control? Unraveling. And me? I kept moving forward. No posts about revenge. No angry confrontations. Just growth. Work. Travel. Rebuilding the life they tried to destroy. The final twist wasn't in watching them fail. It was in watching myself rise. I started hosting events, speaking on empowerment, even writing a column about resilience. People reached out for advice. I became someone they admired, not because of the drama I endured, but because of how I transformed it. My parents noticed too. They were proud, quietly, finally seeing their daughter as more than just the bride who got abandoned. Months passed. Daniel and Ariba? Their marriage crumbled under their lies, secrets, and mistrust. No drama from me. No interference. Karma in motion, quietly. I, on the other hand, thrived. My career skyrocketed. My confidence? Unshakable. My life? Fully mine. I realized something important. You can't control other people. You can't prevent betrayal. You can't stop humiliation. But you can control how you respond. You can rise. You can rebuild. You can become untouchable. The abandoned bride? Dead. The survivor? Alive. Thriving. Stronger than ever. And the best part? I didn't need revenge to feel victorious. Because my life, my happiness, my independence, my power, was the ultimate twist. This is it. The final chapter. The one where the chaos, the heartbreak, and the betrayal finally meet their match, me. By now, I wasn't reacting. I was choosing. I woke up that morning knowing one thing clearly: this was my life. Not Daniel's, not Ariba's, not anyone else's. Mine. And I intended to live it fully, unapologetically. The first step? Family. My parents were still torn about Ariba. Part of them wanted to forgive, part of them couldn't forget. And honestly? I didn't care. I had to protect myself first. I sat down with them calmly, and said, I'm done being defined by what they did. I love both of you, but I'm drawing my line. Ariba can be family, but she isn't my safe place anymore. That's non-negotiable. Mom and Dad nodded slowly. I could see the relief in their eyes. They didn't have to choose sides anymore. I had chosen mine. Then came the confrontation with Ariba. She showed up timidly, unannounced, expecting forgiveness. I let her speak first. She apologized. She admitted how wrong everything was. For the first time, she was honest, not defensive, not trying to justify herself. I listened. Quietly. Calmly. When she finished, I said, I forgive you. But forgiveness doesn't mean trust. It doesn't mean you get to step back into my life like nothing happened. You've learned your lesson. Now live with it. She nodded, and that was enough. No tears. No shouting. Just acknowledgement. And for the first time in years, I felt free. Work and life became my new altar. Every project, every decision, every small victory reinforced that I was untouchable by their past mistakes. I traveled. I networked. I became the woman everyone admired, not because she had a perfect story, but because she had a real one and she survived. Opportunities one never imagined appeared. Speaking gigs. Mentorships. Features in magazines. People wanted to know how I did it, how I turned betrayal into power. And Daniel? I never contacted him. I didn't have to. Every attempt he made to reach me, texts, calls, emails, went unanswered. His empire of lies crumbled. Financial struggles, trust issues, exposure, the fallout was his alone. I didn't cheer. I just continued living my life, thriving in the spaces he couldn't touch. That's the ultimate revenge, I realized, living well. Living fully. Living untouchably. The final twist? One evening, sitting on my balcony with a glass of wine, watching the city lights, I smiled. No bitterness. No lingering pain. Just clarity. I had been abandoned at the altar. Betrayed by the man I loved and the sister I trusted. Humiliated in front of everyone I knew. But I had risen. Stronger. smarter, untouchable. And now, when people look at me, they don't see the girl who cried in the church. They see the woman who walked through fire and came out glowing. The abandoned bride? Gone. The survivor? Thriving. And that was the best ending of all.